fam? What is up? Coming at you from a different spot at the house today. Sometimes you just gotta switch it up, you know? I've had a lot on my mind these last few days, and I have been shedding and purging a lot. And if you found your way here, you've probably been doing the same, or you're about to. Look at this beautiful eclipse season and all the things that we're, letting go of, right? I'm reflecting on like where I was the last eclipses prior to now, right? And the whole reason, by the way, guys, I make these videos, they are for you, but they are also for me. They're like a video log of how far I've come and the lessons that I've learned. And I hope that somewhere along the way, they make their way into the hands of people that also probably need to hear the same things that I probably needed to hear at one point, We're all just walking each other home, as I like to say. And I've been moving through a lot the last few days. I started to go back to the chiropractor on Friday last week. And I want to talk about how serendipitous and spontaneous and just how beautifully aligned all of this is. And I want to address doubt and I don't want to say lack of clarity, but it's like when you doubt that expansion is possible and then gifts are given to you. I mean, I've been given so many gifts in the last week or two, and it's been so beautiful to receive. And gifts in many different ways, right? I'm not necessarily saying, a box with a bow on it, but, I've been given a lot of different magical gifts in various different ways. And it's been a really, really beautiful, cool experience. And a lot of times when we're moving into this next phase of life, this next expansion, letting go of an old identity and all the things, right? It asks us to let go of things that are no longer serving us, that can't go with us forward into this next new beginning. And I've been feeling this for a while. There's a move, there's big transition. It's probably my biggest move yet is coming. I can't exactly tell you the details of when that will happen. I can't exactly tell you. I can tell you roughly where I'm going, how I'm going to get there, what I'm going to be doing. I have inklings, but I don't have all the details. But I can feel it, and it's been, externally confirmed to me through several different sources. And it's interesting because with this move, this expansion, this new identity, right, comes the letting go of the old. And I went to see your chiropractor on Friday, and this came after, this is a fun little story to tell, actually. I also realized I love storytelling. That's my gift for today. I was like, I knew there was going to be a gift, and I knew it was going to come in an untimely manner. And I knew it was probably going to come in a way that I didn't expect. And here we are. I used to love telling stories. I still love telling stories. Not stories for the aspect of like not made up stories, but like, our egoic stories, if you will. It's like stories of like what actually happened and like my experience. And my great grandma used to always call me Chatty Cathy, and that has always resonated with me because I am such a yapper, and it's part of my gifts, right? It's part of my gifts as I'm just getting all this. This is why I do this, guys, because I cannot tell you how many times I've done videos like this, and I start because I'm verbally processing, and that's how I heal in a way. I'm gonna take those wind chimes, and the wind is confirmation that this is the gift, right? So so my birthday was July 23rd, right? That Saturday, I felt super pulled to go to this farmer's market. It's a farmer's market in town that I have not been to yet. And I was really excited to go. And it was 10 to 2 and yada, yada, right? And so I didn't get out the door right away. And I was like, this is so interesting. Like, I'm always curious, like, where the energy's pulling me before, especially if it's pulling me in several different directions before I actually leave the house to do the thing that I want to do. It's usually a timing thing, right? So I get there, and there's so many people. I didn't know what I was going for, other than I knew I wanted to grab some fruit and maybe a little yummy drink while I was there. And I'm walking through the farmer's market, right? And I'm like, why the fuck am I here? Like, nothing was screaming at me. I saw, the fruit when I first walked in, and I'm just like, why am I here, right? And I keep walking, and I get almost to the opposite end of the fucking farmer's market before I find a tasty little drink. Casa Matcha, shout out to them. They're at the Northwest Crossing Bend Farmers Market every Saturday. They're phenomenal. Highly recommend. I got a Biscoff cookie butter matcha. Oh, one of the best matchas I've ever had in my life. Anyways, so I go there, I turn around, I'm like kind of bebopping in and out of a few places. And I'm like, nothing else is really calling me. And then there was another section that I had not gone. Yeah, so I go there and have several different conversations with a couple of the vendors. Very like, I could feel there was a lot of energy, right? And I'm like, there's something over here for me. I get through all those vendors. I see that there's a chiropractor and an Orange Theory like right next to each other. And I kept being drawn to like the energy, but I was like, I don't know, like, it's one of the two, but like the chiropractor was busy, and I was like, I don't know if I necessarily need, like, I've never been to Orange Theory, but like I've never been super pulled to go to Orange Theory. So I'm like, I don't think it's that. So I'm like, I'm gonna go get my fruit and go get a coconut water, and I'll be back, right? So I do like another big loop, and I come back, and it's like 15, 20 minutes before the farmer's market's supposed to close. And I end up back over by the chiropractor, and I'm like, there's gotta be something here. And they were offering free adjustments for if you gave them a Google review. And I was like, okay, perfect. So I did that. And I was just very aware of the energy that was moving and flowing and everything that was happening, right? And then at the end, they hand me this card, and they're like, you know, this is our normal exam that we do, but we're giving it was like a $300 value for like $50. If that isn't a gift, I don't know what is, right? So they end up messaging me. I sign up for the thing, right? I go for my appointment, and I'm in the middle of the appointment. Not even in the middle. We had like just gotten done. We just started talking. And he's telling me a couple of things, and I'm like, just so you know, like, I'm a shamanic guide and a nurse, if that helps. And if you could have seen the look on the doc's face, like, he was so excited, and I was so excited. It was just this magical fucking moment of like, oh my God, yes, this is gonna be so much fun. Like, it was like kids getting to play again, right? And I'm like, yes, this is the energy. Like, this is the energy that I want to be in, right? And we start going through the exam, and he's like, you know, there's several things that jump out at me, and I'm like, nope, you're literally confirming everything that I had already felt and like known. Some things were new, but not really. Most of it was like just reconfirming things I'd already known. And then he gets to my physical examination, and he's moving some things, and I'm like, it's my heart, isn't it? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay. And then we start talking about my work, and realize that have been, up until very recently, carrying a lot of energy that was not mine, right? What's interesting is I had been feeling this, but I couldn't put words to it. I was like, why am I so fucking tired all the time? Like, no matter how much sleep I get, right? And somehow, somewhere along the way, right, probably subconsciously, I was taking on other people's weight. The wind chimes and the wind. And I was carrying it. And I'm like, man, this fucking backpack, man, is fucking heavy, right? So like all in my shoulders, my traps, my chest, and my back, right? My center of my back, right? Which is where you receive. He's like, it's blocked. And I don't love using the word blocked, imbalanced, however you want to say it, right? But because I'm like, I've been taking on other people's energy, and I was like, oh, fuck. And I left that appointment with so much clarity, yet so much just frustration, right? I'm like, man, I do all this work, and like, this is what I get in return. Like, that doesn't feel good. And he's like, well, you have to like be giving from like an overflowing cup, and like being in a, you know, sympathetic state, so fight or flight, versus being in a parasympathetic state, which is like, you know, rest and digest. It's like coming from that state, like that's you're pouring from an empty cup, right? And I'm like, man, I have so much love to give, but like, what is this energy, right? So over the last few days, I committed to myself. I was like, okay, I'm not going to run out of desperation. I'm not going to jump right back into this fight or flight mode, right? But I need to see it. I need to see it, and I need to understand it, and I need to let it go. And Saturday morning I woke up and I was so sore. And he told me I was going to be sore, but I felt like I got hit by a fucking Mack truck. And I was like, oh my God, I am purging some energy. And for me, I feel a lot of physical things. It's so funny with how, like, woo-woo I am, and yet I still feel so fucking much. Like, it's such a, what is that, dichotomy? Is that the right word? I don't know if that's the right word, but that's the word that came through. And it's so interesting because I'm like, man, this is like so much energy that I'm letting go of, but it was like locked into all of this, right? And as a Leo, I am heart-led, man. Like, I have so much love to give, and I felt for a little defeated for a moment. I was like, okay, we're going to pour back into ourselves. We're going to take all the energy that we've been giving outwards and we're going to pour it back into ourselves, because that's what we do. Because that's what we're supposed to do, guys. We're not supposed to keep giving from an empty cup. We're supposed to, I literally am like having to take my own advice and pour back into myself, even as uncomfy as it is. I can't tell you how many purges I had. I can't tell you how many emotional releases I had on Saturday, but it was a fucking lot, to the point where I was fucking exhausted. Like, couldn't get off the couch, exhausted. I was on the couch all day. I can't tell you the last time where I was laid up all day just binge watching a show, because I just could not fucking bring myself to move. I couldn't bring myself to leave the house. I couldn't bring myself to do anything. And it was an interesting day. Like, there was a lot that I purged, and there was clarity that came from it, right? There's always clarity after the breakdown. But man, I still am feeling a little bit lighter, right? Like, I still feel a little tight up in here, but I know that it's the energy is purging, and being patient with that process, you know? Anyways, I remember saying to the doctor before I left, I was like, you know, this is such a gift. And he's like, you're like literally my ideal practice, like, client. I'm like, oh, I know. I can feel that. And I think that's so beautiful, is the synergy. When that locks in and you're aligned with something, like, it is it feels glorious. Like, I don't even know how else to explain it, but I feel it in every cell in my body, and it's an unexplainable feeling. It's just like, oh, I'm in the right place at the right time. Like, you just know. And I'm grateful for this gift. I'm grateful for this experience. And I'm on a personal mission to unlock my heart, right? And really, it's just balancing it back out and bringing truth and clarity to that, and realizing that the energy that I've been outpouring has not been feeding back into me, right? That was interesting. And so this is your sign. If you've been pouring from an empty cup, please pour back into yourself. Like, the number one thing I give any client is, like, if you are over pouring and you're not seeing results, you need to pour back into yourself. Because the more that you pour back into yourself, the more the universe can nourish you, right? It has to come through you. Everything comes through you. And so in order for it to come through you, you have to allow yourself to be poured into, however that is. That is how we move forward. And after this adjustment and everything went down, I was like, man, I feel like I'm about to do the impossible. I feel like I'm about to collapse time. And I don't know how to explain that other than plain and simple, which is, I was given a certain number of days that I was going to have to come for treatment. That was going to be part of the plan. And I can tell you with most of my being that I was not feeling that. I was like, I don't think it's going to take that long. And I was reminded as I was purging that I have been through this before. I've been through these purges before. It's how I heal my autoimmune. It's so much magic just appeared. There's like 4 or 5 birds. Thanks, guys. Can you hear that? There's so much magic happening right now. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. There's a lot going on. A lot of confirmation. But I was reminded how when I was going through my autoimmune healing journey, I was going to acupuncture really aggressively. I was going 3 times a week for 2 months. And that, I feel like, collapsed time, right? But I was in a completely different state of being then. Like, that was a whole different state of being. And I'm like, wow, how cool would that be if I could collapse time like that again? Because, like, the work that I did in 2 months, like, should have taken me years. It would have taken most people like at least, 6 months to a year, right? If not more. And I collapsed time because I committed to myself. And I think that's the big thing. And I was talking about this yesterday too with projectors, right? I'm a projector in human design. I'm able to see the unseen, which allows me to collapse time, right? It's the same thing I've done with energy healing. People come to me with things, they've had cysts that they're supposed to get surgery on, and I do energy healing on them, and a week later, it's gone. That is collapsing time in its purest form. And we're all able to do this, but I think projectors are able to see it and really like bring it into form and kind of like bridge the gap, if you will. Anyways, my whole point is, what's funny is the next day I was telling a good friend of mine about this, and she said, dude, I wonder if like you pouring back into yourself just in this short amount of time, like if that will like, I don't want to say reverse the timeline, but like it'll collapse time so that you actually won't need to do the things that you are being told that you need to do. And I was like, no, that you literally like read me word for word. Like that's what I've been feeling. But I was like trying to put it into words. And I trust that if you're meant to get what I'm talking about, you'll understand. But I'm so curious what this is going to bring. And so I'm on a personal mission to rebalance out my heart chakra. And part of that has been purging, and I've been purging a lot. So much so that I purged so hard yesterday that I ended up laughing at the end of it, which, talk about duality in its purest form, right? I was like, wow, I never thought I'd be doing this. Like, freaking gutturally sobbing, looking like I'm having a fucking exorcism, and then all of a sudden I'm like laughing hysterically. I'm like, people would think I'm fucking psycho. But this is what energy looks like when it's moving. And so yeah, this is your sign. Pour back into yourself. This is a sign for myself to pour back into me. And you know what's funny is after all of, this went down, I was like, okay, how do I want to approach life going forward? Because this feels disorienting, right? And so yesterday morning I woke up and I was like, what is this piece of me, right? It's the piece of me that's struggled, that's had to survive, that's had to carry the weight and all the things. And I saw it so clearly. And this is what happens when I do soul retrievals for clients in the past. Like, I saw myself, and then I saw this version of me. And it was not the now version of me. It is the version of me that survived. And she looks like she went through fucking battle. Like, if you can picture battered, torn, bruised, defeated in a physical vessel, like with thick chains around her neck and just dirt smeared everywhere and just looking like she got beat to shit. I'm like, oh, fuck. Girl. It's like one of those things where I had to take a step back and be like, fuck, I am so sorry. And yet I'm so grateful for you because you've done so much work, but you don't have to do it anymore. You don't have to hold that anymore. You don't have to survive anymore. You get to thrive. You've built this beautiful life, and I know financial and all the other things may not have fully caught up yet, and that's okay. But you don't have to carry it anymore. You don't have to carry everyone's weight anymore. You were never meant to in the first place. Generational patterns and things, right? And that's been part of it. That's been part of this huge thing that I've been letting go of. From both sides of my family, not just one, but it's very much intertwined. And she sat there with me and I cried. I cried hard. And I was like, you don't deserve this. I don't deserve this. We don't deserve this. Like, you deserve to be free. And I just, kind of let her sit there, and I said, I want you to just sit today. I want you to just rest. Take the chains off. Just rest. And this morning I felt the things trying to come back in, and I was like, we're going to move through the frustration, and we're going to move through the feelings, and then we're going to go for a walk, and we're going to sit under the tree. And I sat underneath that tree, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but in a way I did know what was going to happen, right? I put my head back against that tree, and I was just like, it's funny because it's that tree right over there. Mama always be holding me up. But I frequent that tree pretty much every time I go on my walk, because I walk past it to leave the property. And I went and I put my back up against her and I said, I can't do this anymore. And she said, you don't have to hold it anymore. And I saw that version of me, beat down, battered, bruised version of me. And I took her and I placed her right next to me under the tree. And it reminded me of another journey, if you will, that I had gone on quite a few years ago. And a friend had dropped me into a meditation and I let go of a protector piece of myself. And this felt similar to that experience, but I was guiding myself through it this time, as I do with most things now. And I sat there and she sat there and she put her head on my shoulder and we just sat there and I cried. It makes me emotional thinking about it, because I was like, wow, I just want you to feel free. You get to be free. And I was telling her how proud I am of her and how much work she's done, and that it hasn't gone unnoticed, and that there's so much beauty in this world that we get to experience. But she can rest easy now. She doesn't have to move forward. She's gotten me to this point and I can take it from here. And she just laid down and cuddled up right next to me under the tree. And I was like, you're totally welcome to lay here and rest, but I kind of feel like you might want to go to the light. And she was like, yeah, I'm ready. I was like, all right. And I started sobbing again. I was like, Mem's going to come grab you and pull you through. Okay. And I opened up the light. My great Graham came through and pulled her through. And I had a beautiful emotional release. And I'm sure I'll probably have a couple more, as that typically happens when I do soul retrievals. And I just sat there after and I was like, wow, how fucking beautiful is it that I get to experience this and that I get to bring this forward for other people to experience. Like, these are things that I wish I would have had way sooner in my journey. But everything is always timed exactly how it's meant to. Just like today, doing that soul retrieval for myself. And also just the fact that I could do it on myself. Like, what a fucking gift, man. I've been doing soul retrievals long before I learned how to do soul retrievals. And it's so interesting because first time it really happened, I was in Costa Rica and I had an oracle deck. It was a shamanic oracle deck that I really, truly resonated with. And there was this one card that I pulled one morning and it was doing a soul retrieval. And I did it. And then I went to a women's circle later that night. And we were checking in about our days. And I said, oh yeah, I did a soul retrieval this morning. It was super cool. And one of the women was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Who did you go to see in town? And I was like, no one. I did it at home by myself. And they were like, wait, what? There's so many things that I've done that like other people are like, wait, who did you learn from? And I'm like, me, myself, and I, guys. Just a wealth of knowledge that I'm remembering. So yeah, it's a gift that I get to do these things, and that I get to share this knowledge and this wisdom and these stories. And again, these are my experiences, so take with it what you will. But I fully believe, like, as the wind and the chimes kick up again, like, this gets to be the work and it gets to be fun and easy and however it's supposed to look. And I'm not saying that everything is going to be super fucking easy. It gets to be easy. I believe it gets to be easy. But you got to be able to commit to yourself. And I think that's really what this whole thing is about, is committing to yourself. Because when you commit to yourself, that is the ripple effect. Wind for confirmation. When you commit to yourself and you pour into yourself, that is the assignment, guys. Because then from there, you're able to outpour and give. But if you're pouring from an empty cup and you're not committed to yourself, and I know that may be foreign for some people that might, start getting the wheels turning. I know that it'll hit whoever it's meant to at the exact right time. It's all activations, But just know that if you've been pouring from an empty cup, that this might be your sign to pull inwards, to pour back into yourself. And you can start small, guys. You don't have to go gung-ho out the first gate, But start pouring into yourself. Do the thing that makes you happy. Do the thing that you love. Whatever that is. There's no right or wrong. It's literally whatever feels good for you. But start pouring into yourself. Because that is how we change the world. Be the change you wish to see in the world. It starts with committing to yourself. And that might feel a little uncomfy at first, but I promise it gets better. And who knows what magic will come along the way. But find at least one thing a day. Set aside 5 or 10 minutes and pour back into yourself. Best if done first thing in the morning, honestly. Because if you can pour back into yourself before you pour into anybody else's cup, that is the thing. But yeah. What a gift. What a gift. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sending you so much love on your journey. My one-on-one books are open and available if this is work that I do is something that interests you, or if you have questions about your gifts, or you need resources or whatever. Check out the link in my bio. Lynn Shelto on all platforms if you feel called to follow me elsewhere. But yeah, thanks for being here. I love you so much. See you on the next one.